Welcome everyone, Chris here from the future. I've actually just finished the repair on the Friedman Runt 50 that you can see over my shoulder. I was going to edit all of this footage down into nice manageable chunks and include it within the usual Sunday content. However, I think sometimes it's important to do a warts and all diagnosis to show you how tricky some things can be, especially when you're working on a double-sided PCB which doesn't follow the usual design conventions because it's designed to be manufactured quite quickly, but also when you don't have factory service support, schematic, a service manual, something like that that might help. It can become quite tricky, especially when things don't immediately make sense and you end up going down a diagnostic path or direction that ends up being a dead end or two. I'm going to tell you this from the beginning. The amplifier is fixed and is up and running on the bench perfectly, but as you're about to see, I can't tell you what I've done to fix it or indeed why it is fixed, but it is now working. Enjoy. Right, for the Friedman. So bench testing the amplifier now, a couple of things that we want to check out, a couple of things we need to do. First thing I noticed was when I first powered it up is you get that unmistakable smell of EL34s running far too hot, far too hot. Usually when they've been biased well over where they need to be. So I plugged the CompuBias in and I was taking bias measurements. Now I wish I'd caught this on camera, but probe 2, which is connected to the EL34 on this side of the chassis, not the one that's innermost, was completely switched off. It has now come back online and I'm not entirely sure what's changed, but there was no heater voltage to it. It wasn't glowing at all. The thing wasn't powering up. There was plate voltage to it, but now it's come back online, okay? So that's something we might need to be looking into, is maybe the reason why the customer says or thinks the mid control isn't working is that maybe we've got a problem elsewhere that's masking the effect that the mid control is actually working. So I hope that all makes sense for everybody. Let me just square this up so it looks a little bit nicer for you on camera. Yeah, that's great. Right, so the thing we're going to do is, well, we're currently biased now at, one side is at 17 watts, the other side is about 18 watts. So we grab our calculator, we'll take the hottest one, 18 divided by 25, maximum for EL34s. That one is biased at 72%. Okay, so it may be a little bit hot, but not the end of the world. Okay, not the end of the world. I'm not going to worry about that for the time being. But what I am going to do, however, is we're going to inject a signal into the front end, and then we're going to rotate the controls and have a look at the output sine wave, see if we can see what's going on. So let's do that. Let's bring you down, rotate you round onto the scope, and then you can see exactly what I'm doing. So, as usual, into the front end of the amplifier, I am injecting a 1 kilohertz, 150 millivolt RMS sine wave into the front end, and we are driving 8 ohms. The amplifier is set for 8 ohms, and just make sure I haven't done anything silly on the back. No, we are all good. So we'll start with the clean channel. There are 2 channels on this amplifier, foot switchable. You can also do it with a switch on the front panel. So I'll set my treble and bass on this channel to noon. We'll start with that and I'll advance the clean control, and you can see we do get a sine wave on the output. And I'll keep advancing that up to the point where it clips. We'll back it back down. There it is, it's clipping now. There it is, I'm quite happy with that. 22 volts into 8 ohms, which is 60.5 watts. So it's doing well over the 50 watts clean that it is meant to do. So we'll leave that there and we'll try the treble control. We can see that makes an effect on our output sine wave. The more we advance it, treble frequencies overdrive before bass frequency, so we can see we get a change in the output sine wave as we add more or take away less treble is the correct way. It's a passive tone stack. So there we go, and we try the bass control. Bass controls very rarely have the same effect on a sine wave as the treble control, but I can see the sine wave does change as I rotate the control. So I know that's working, and I've already confirmed that with a play test as well. I can hear as I advance the control from fully counterclockwise, rotate it round, I can hear the bottom end kicking in. Okay, quite happy with that. The other thing, this amp's got a presence control, so if I rotate the presence control, which is in the output stage of the amplifier, you can see it affects our output sine wave as well. Okay, so I'll turn that all the way back down. Can I do anything weird things with the tone controls? No, they all seem to be working as intended on that channel. Right, so we'll finish that channel. We'll take all of those back to 0. Oh, actually, no, the other thing we should do, before I forget, we'll bring our sine wave up again. We've got a 3-position bright switch. It's currently in the middle, which I believe is off. We go to the left, you can see we get a slight change. Go back to the middle and go to the right, we get an even bigger change. So there's probably 2 different value capacitors in that circuit, and just like we do on the train wreck build, and it's switching between those. I'm not sure what the values are. I think it's C11 and C12, probably 100 picofarad and 500 picofarad is normal. I can already smell those EL34s getting hot again. If I remove that signal, where are we biased to now? Our bias has crept up slightly by about 1 watt each side. That might settle down. Anyway, let's try the second channel. And this is the channel that the customer says he has his issues with. So we switch over to that channel. This one's got a 3-band EQ, treble, middle and bass, and it is the middle control that he's having problems with. So I'll bring the master up full. I'll bring the mid control up full, bass and treble on 0, and I'll advance the gain control. And as you can see, we get a sine wave, but that doesn't look right, does it? That doesn't look right. Oh, there you go, kicked in now. Oh no, that's the bass control, sorry. What's going on there? That's odd. Bass on 0, mid on full, goes to 11 on this amp, treble on 0, and I can only get 2.8 volts, less than 1 watt. If I advance the bass control up, suddenly we get our output. Okay. Not working how tone stacks usually work. So I've currently got the bass on noon, gain on noon, treble on noon, and if I rotate the mid control, you can see we're looking at this notch here. We do get a change. Fully counterclockwise, now I rotate it round, it goes away. Let's put the bass up to full and rotate that mid control. We do get a slight change there. Treble control. See, treble control is really powerful. Look at that. So that's now me turning the mid control, and you can see it is making an effect. So currently I've got bass on 0, treble on full, and as I rotate the mid control, you can see it does have an effect. I'm not entirely sure this tone stack is standard Marshall cathode follower. It's not responding in the usual way, but it is working. I wonder if it's a different configuration of tone stack and therefore that operation is correct or not. Now the customer did say the mid-control was working and it was quite powerful, and now it's quite weak. And I would argue that's the case now. So maybe it does have a fault. I'm just going to go away and have a look for a schematic, see what I can find. It's the Runt 50, and we'll come back and see where we are. Right, I've been online, I can't find a schematic, but I did find quite a few interesting forum threads of people who've had similar issues with their Runt 50. The tone stack on the second channel, the Overdrive channel, if that's what you want to call it, all be acting strange. Now, I've currently got the treble on 0, mid on at noon, and bass at noon. And if I turn the treble control, you can see it changes. So that's off, and as I advance it, that's quite a strange operation. Bring it back, bass control working, mid control having 0 effect when the treble control is on 0. If I bring up the treble control halfway, mid control still doesn't work. Treble control all the way up, mid control has stopped working. There's something very strange going on with this. Now, what could it be? What could it be? Well, I don't know. But let's start with the basics. Remember, we measured the pot in circuit and it seemed to be operating fine. Let's just move some of these components around. Here's all the connectors. They all seem to be okay. But look, that mid control is having minimal effect whatsoever. This is incredibly bizarre. And the way that treble control is working, that's almost acting like a gain control, a volume control, rather than a treble control. And unfortunately, to replace half of these components on this board is going to be quite tricky. I've currently got all the EQ set at noon. I mean, I can't, for the life of me, master on full now, get a clean sine wave out of this amplifier on this Overdrive channel. Well, I mean, that's the closest I can get, but it's not particularly great, is it? It's not down on power, it's just weird. Very bizarre. I don't think I've ever seen this before. Well, not to this extent. We've got a 470 picofarad treble cap. Oh! Something just jumped. Did you see that? Mid-control still not working. Can you see something's not happy there? It was causing that signal to change there. Did you see it? Did you see it? It was there, wasn't it? Mid-control definitely not working. This is incredible. Okay. Oh, look, it's changed. What? And now the mid-control works again. What? Oh, I wish. Ah, oh, right. See, now the mid-control is working. Let's get my other probe. So let's look at what is appearing on the mid-control itself. So I'm on the wiper of the mid-control. Purple trace. Okay. There's the input. Is that the input to the mid-control? Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? It's made it more difficult because I haven't got any broke things to find. It's all working as intended. So what's happened is it definitely wasn't working. We have video proof of that now. And then, like that, it all kicked back in and it's now working again. Mid control definitely working. The only thing that would have changed is that this thing has now come up to temperature. So I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to heat cycle it again, get this thing back to room temperature, and then we'll fire it up and we'll come back. It's lunchtime now, so, well, almost. We'll cool it down for half an hour, 45 minutes maybe, come back and see if the problem's gone back. And I need to see if I can work out, is it the tone stack itself, if it's upstream of the tone stack or downstream of the tone stack. Problem is, with that schematic, you're not really sure how this thing is laid out. I could signal trace. There you go, it's dropped. Mid control's not working again. Did you hear it? Almost. Right. Oh. Pin 7 of V1. There's our signal. So pin 6 will be the out. First gain stage. There she is. Looks fine to me. I assume it then goes through some network and then into the other side. No, because that will be the clean channel. Let's check V2, pin 7. We have some signal there, pin 2. There's a signal. If I touch the gain control, it doesn't affect V2. So pin 7, no. V3, pin 2. Okay, there's our signal. Pin 7, which is the other, are they connected? No, they're not. Gain control brings it up slightly. Going to pin 6. Yeah, there it is. Mid control still not working. Pin 1. No output on pin 1. Because it's a cathode follower, right? So it's come out of pin 3? Yes, it does. There it is. Okay. What about pin 8? Nothing on pin 8. So from pin 3, it should go up to our tone stack. So we'll confirm that. Purple trace, 27.2. Oh, and it's jumped up again. Mid control will work again now. Nope. It's died again. What? This is the problem with intermittent faults. It's changing so quickly before I can get a confirmed diagnosis. We're in the not working condition. So pin 3 was the output, I think. Okay, so that's as it was before. I just touched that 33k resistor and it kicked back in. See, mid control now works. And now it's dropped again. No, it's working. Just poor connection. Output, that's pin 3 of V3. And it's working again now. What? So what happens is when it's working as it is now, the mid control works, right? You can see it working. When it stops working, it's as though the mid control gets turned all the way to 0. So our output looks like that. So it goes to that condition. It's as though you've turned the mid control completely off. Treble. Mid is working. So when it fails again, it will look like that now. Look, you can see that this lower half has got this harmonic in, right? Turn the mid control up halfway. We're now getting what you might call standard operation. I don't like these sine waves, but it might just be the amp. Is it the mid control itself? I need it to play up again. See, it's working fine at the moment. So treble on, yeah, all on noon. We'll have that there. How do you diagnose an intermittent problem like this? Well, the tap test is proving to be inconclusive. Mid-control works at the moment, look. I'm going to have to come back. Right, I've had a spot of lunch and can't find a schematic online. So I figured what I'd do is I'd just do some basic continuity checks, maybe draw out the tone stack myself as it is in the amp. And I've discovered something really, really interesting. So we've got the treble control here, mid control here, bass control here. This is the gain control for that channel. Now, look at this. Got my meter on ohms, and I was just buzzing it out, and I was like, why is the wiper connected to ground? Right, and if you look, the control is currently at noon, and if I rotate the control, you can see it's directly connected to ground. The wiper is out of circuit. If I go across the pot, you can measure across the pot, and you get 1 meg resistance. Well, just under. It's a 1 meg pot. That's fine. Go back to the mid. Sorry, go back to the wiper, the middle lug. And you can see connected directly to ground. Yellow, white here is to ground. If I disconnect the pot, so unplug this jumper, I get a reading. And you can see fully clockwise, we get some resistance, you know, get 1 meg to ground, 1.1, we go all the way the other, goes to 0, right? So look, if I go fully clockwise, gain on 10, we get 1 meg resistance to ground. That's how it should work. Plug it back in, and it shorts it. That doesn't make sense. The pot's fine, but there's something in here that's going on. So let's confirm that, right? White to chassis. Put it on continuity mode. So if I just unplug that, put it on my probe. We touch chassis, touch ground, we get a beep. So pin 3 here should be grounded. Sorry, it's this one, isn't it? And the wiper's grounded. Look. There you go, full connection. If I unplug that, pin 3, grounded. Pin 2 is grounded. So it's not the pot, it's on the board itself. So we need to look around the circuitry for VR4, draw that out and work out why, at this moment in time, that's tied directly to ground. What is shorted around the circuit that's causing that? We're on to something now. We're working it out. Anyway, I'm going to draw it all out how I think it should be. But that's the problem. Right there. There should be no continuity between that pin and ground. But there is. Could you explain that one to me? Just double check it's not something stupid like a switch. No. That is strange. So, where do you connect to? I need to find out where that... So the wiper is usually the output of the gain control. So does that go to the next gain stage? Need to draw it all out and work it out. But look, we are definitely onto something now. There's definitely something weird going on. That should not be doing that. Right, I'll come back. Right, I forgot to film some stuff, but what I did was I removed the board from the chassis. It's actually far less work than it appears. A lot of it is just disconnect, undo the mounting screws, and the whole thing lifts out. gain control VR4 with the wiper connected to ground, it's because this relay here shunts it to ground. So that was by design in its current the operating condition in which it was currently set. So it's a bit of a red herring. But once I had the board out, I was able to confirm that by the routing of the traces underneath, bits and pieces like that. Whilst the board was out, I thought, what I'm going to do, whilst things are easily accessible, I'm going to replace the 2 silver micas that we saw on the board. So they've been replaced with ceramic discs, both in the tone stack here, and there was one here as well. There was, do you remember this resistor here was bypassed by this cap? So the old one was snipped out and this one was tacked across. Well, I've now mounted that in its original location. So that's been fixed. There was a 1 meg resistor here, paralleled with a 220k, which gave us 180k total resistance. Well, I've removed those and I've installed a 180k resistor in its proper place. So the only post-build factory mod that I haven't done is these 2 power resistors here, which are in parallel. I've left those as they are. I've reassembled the amp back together, fired it up. It's been running now for at least an hour, and it's been absolutely perfect. 0 issues whatsoever. The mid control works as expected. I've no longer got weird output sine wave on the scope. The amp is just performing as it should. Sounds good too. So I'm going to leave this burning in for at least another hour. Make sure that it gets really hot and that no issues play up. And if it survives that, the only real thing to do is to give it back to the customer for him to try. I can't think of anything else to do with this particular amplifier because it is now working. And before, as we saw on the video, it was switching back and forth quite regularly. That is no longer the case. I can't get this thing to play up whatsoever. So I am, unless I come back for more, going to call this one complete. We'll leave it burning in. But I can't see any other issue with it. I can't find any other issue with it. It's running so well. It's beautiful. I'll show you the scope if you don't believe me. I know you do believe me, but there you go. That's the scope. So we're currently in the Overdrive channel. Here is the mid control, all the way down, all the way up. Bass control, now working properly. Is that the bass or is that the treble? No, that's the treble, sorry. Mid control, sorry, bass control. I can't talk today. It's all working fine. Loads of overdrive on tap. It does the power we expect. Everything is working as it should be. So we'll leave it going in. We'll leave it burning in, sorry. And then, unless it does develop another fault, customer can have it back. So yeah, we'll leave this one there. So really frustrating when you don't know why you fixed something or how you've managed to fix it. I haven't learnt much from this repair experience, which is annoying because I do like to understand as much as I can. What did I do? How did it fix it? What were the before and afters? You know I like my data sets, but I can't explain this one. It is now fixed. Really, the only components that I've replaced are the 2 silver micas, the 470 picofarads. One was in the tone stack and the other was post gain control. They both test fine. They both read within their tolerance and they both test fine for leakage, so they're not leaking. I've also tested them with a heat gun applied to them and their capacitance value remains relatively stable. So I don't think these are faulty, but by replacing them, I have fixed the amplifier. Questions still remain. So who knows? I thought you guys might find this interesting. Hopefully you have. A bit frustrated in myself that I can't give you a reasonable explanation as to why this is fixed, but it is, and I'm sure the customer will be happy. So I've spent far longer than the bench fee on it, but I am only going to charge him the 2-hour bench fee, which is standard for any amplifier that comes through the workshop. Thank you very much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you found it interesting. All of your comments and questions down below. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, blah, 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 and I will catch you all on Sunday. The saga continues. It was playing fine. It was running fine. It did so long on the bench that I even filmed the bit for this video to say it was fixed. Well, guess what? It's not fixed. It's not fixed whatsoever. I plugged my guitar into it just to give it a final play test, and I was like, oh, that sounds odd. And then both the mid and the bass controls were acting weird again, and then the treble controller was doing its gain thing. And I'm thinking, why has it changed back then? It was running fine for so long, and now it's gone weird. So I was probing around, and I thought, I know this is bad practice. I know it's bad practice, but let's just change out the mid and the bass caps. Let's just get them out. So I've just tacked in some Panasonics there, and the amp came back and is now working as it should do. Ignore the bouncing on the scope. I still wasn't convinced that I'd fixed it because, as I've already said in this video, if I don't understand it, I'm not happy. So I'm going back in. I'll show you what I found, and I'm hoping it plays up. So I was just probing around the tone stack with my purple probe just to see what's going on. And the 33K slope resistor, on one side of it, you can see, hopefully on the scope, that's coming up there. Enlarge it for you. That's the signal. And on the other side, we get a lower signal. Well, that's what you'd expect. You'd expect to see signal being dropped through the resistor. You get a lower amplitude on one side. But as I was probing around on the other side, and I put just the right amount of pressure on that resistor, it cuts in and out. I'm going to show you on the scope, nice and focused. Where's my probe gone? Here it is. Here's my probe, purple probe, on the side of that resistor. I'm moving it around ever so slightly, and the signal is jumping in and out. It explains everything. It explains why sometimes the mid control was acting weird, sometimes why the bass control is acting weird. It's all downstream of that resistor. If you look at a tone stack, you get the treble cap on one side and the bass and mid on the other side of that slope resistor. Look. I can switch it on and off. Now, what's interesting, or what I think is interesting, is well, in order to confirm this, I would have to heat cycle the whole thing again. But this only does it when it's warm. I can consistently turn it on and off when this thing is warm. Look at that. That's incredible. So what I'm doing, just in case you weren't sure, here it is, the 33K resistor. This side is fine, but it's this one here. I can just touch on there and move the resistor slightly, and the signal cuts in and out. So I'm going to, because I've just tacked these 22s in, I'm going to remove the whole board from the chassis again. That's fine. That's no problem. Haven't got a problem with that. It only takes 10 minutes to pull it out. Then I'm going to replace and reflow all of the components and all of the solder joints in the tone stack on the board. And I'm going to do it, we're going to do it properly, and we're going to do it right. No tack soldering. Get all of the old solder out, put all new, clean, fresh solder in. new components. I don't know if that's a solder problem or an internal fault in the resistor. It might have an internal break. I don't know. I'm not going to risk it. But now I can turn that fault on and off just like that. I'm going to pull the board back out and I'm going to fix all of that properly. I think we're going to have a solution, a final fix for this. Although the way it is going, I'm going to do all of that. I'm going to put it all out, put it all back in, and there's going to be something else going on, isn't there? Right, it is the next day. The amp has had a full cool down overnight. It's pretty cold last night, so it's had a full heat cycle now. It's now been running 45 minutes and 0 issues remain. Or, more accurately, it has yet to play up again. And this is the really interesting thing that, especially with intermittent faults, and as this video has clearly demonstrated, how do you call something fixed, ever? It's a great question, because just because the fault hasn't reappeared doesn't mean it's still not present. And so at what point do you release the amp back to the customer? The fault could still be there with this amplifier, but it might not show up for a couple of weeks. And at that point, do I keep testing it for a couple of weeks? You know, where's the cutoff point? It's that great conundrum, isn't it, about where you go with it. But I can no longer get this thing to play up in the way that I managed to before. It's running great. The mid-control is working as intended. The amp is outputting the correct power. It's all working. It all appears to be working fine. So the only thing I can reasonably do now is leave this running on the test bench until the end of the day. Right? I will probably run it up until lunchtime, turn it off, let it cool down, and then an hour later we'll power it up and we'll run it until 5:30 this evening. If it's still running fine at that point, I think that's a fair and reasonable place to then call the customer and say, this is what I've done, this is what I found, this is where we are with it. I think you're probably okay to take it, but if you do notice anything, then please bring it back. He is very local to me, so it's not a long journey for him. But it's I can't confidently say at this moment in time that it is fixed. All I can say is that it is no longer playing up. So where do you go with that? The repairman's conundrum. Anyway. So, I hope this video, this is the final outro by the way, I hope this video is informative, was interesting, highlights the difficulties with intermittent repairs or intermittent faults, the processes you have to go through, and how difficult it can be. Now, how do you charge for this? As I said, I was only going to charge the 2-hour bench fee, but that was up until that point. I then did find... Sorry, I thought I heard something change then. My heart dropped a minute then. I did find a repeatable fault, didn't I, with that 33k slope resistor, which has been replaced and is no longer repeatable. It no longer plays up that way. So can I now charge longer for the repair? Or do I stick to where I think... Because maybe I should have found that earlier. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Personally, me, for the amount of time I've spent on this, in terms of, you know, dedicated time, I could be making a lot of money off this repair, but I don't think that's right. I don't think that's fair. A lot of it is on me. A lot of it is on, oh, we're re-going over stuff I'd already checked. So I think the bench fee plus a further hour is fair and reasonable. You know, so that's 3 hours in total. And I've spent way more than that on this particular amp. Obviously, I will guarantee the repair. If the customer, if it plays up again, I will then look at it again either free of charge or a heavily discounted rate. But intermittent problems, man. Weird. Very weird. Very weird. Anyway, hopefully you won't see me again. Thanks for watching. Guess what? No, I'm joking. It's fixed.